So, let's say something here at the beginning. For those of you who never had a PS1, PlayStation, I really feel sorry for you, because the PlayStation 1 had some of the best games I've ever played on it, and you are most likely going to see a lot of games from the PS1 on this list. Because as a kid growing up, I had a PlayStation. I was a Sony and a Nintendo kid. I didn't really mess with Microsoft that much, or Sega. So you won't see a lot of those. But I was a Nintendo and a Sony guy. Kid. Not a guy yet, but a kid. And, well, this is actually the very first game I ever played. Most of you kids are like, "Ugh, Mario." No. Mario's good. But let's face it. That shit's for beginner pussies. Now, I was 3 years old when I played this game. I think. I was young. Abe's Oddysee was the very first game I ever played, ever. My dad was doing some crap I don't remember, and he was playing, and he set the controller, because I had watched him play video games before, you know. I was like, oh, this looks like fun, but I was too feeble-minded to play games. And he sets the controller down, and he's like, here, want to play for me? And I'm like, oh, sure, I guess. So I pick up the controller, and, you know, my tiny young boy hands this big, bulky PlayStation 1 controller, and I'm like, what do? And I don't know what's happening. I mean, Abe, he's a cool guy. Abe was just sitting there, and he's like, you know, with his little stance of herp-a-derp, look at me, I'm all hunched over because I'm sad. And then I press a button, and he does something. I'm like, wow! And then I press another button, he does something else. I'm like, whoa! And then I press another button, he does something else. I'm like, yo! And then, before you knew it, I was walking around, shrugging my shoulders, saying hello, and to nobody at the time, but saying hello to the game. You know, Abe with his little hello, which actually, to me, I would always say Ebu at the time, because that's what it sounds like. He's like, Ebu. I don't know. Anyways, Abe's Oddysee and Abe's Exoddus. Abe's Oddysee was the first one I ever played. Abe's Exoddus is the sequel, which in my opinion, I mean, each game has its ups and downs. Like, in Abe's Exoddus, it's longer, first off, and you can possess, well, I'll get into that later, but you can possess scrabs and paramites, which you couldn't do in Abe's Oddysee. Now, in Abe's Oddysee, I personally think that Abe's Oddysee has better level design, and Abe's Oddysee has, it just feels more rewarding. I think Abe's Oddysee was just a little bit more, just a tad bit more difficult, even though the ending of Abe's Exoddus was heart-wrenching. This game, you're this guy, your name's Abe. You work at this place. You work for a food processing company. And one day, after you're done cleaning up the whole place... Oh, before I start, you guys can buy this game, if you have a PlayStation 3. You guys can buy this game on PlayStation Network for like $10. That's a steal. I highly recommend it. If you don't have a PlayStation 3, then you could always, you know, get out the PlayStation 2 or PlayStation 1 if you still have those. And I don't know how much it's going to cost on the internet, but you can get it there. Anyways, this guy, you're cleaning up, you're the janitor, and you're actually Employee of the Month, believe it or not, and your name is Abe. Not Abraham, just Abe, and you belong to a it's on this whole other planet. You're somebody completely different. It's out of this world, you know. You're an alien, except you're in like the industrial revolution stage of your planet's development. So, you're Abe, and you're, you know, just cleaning up, and you're singing to yourself, and then you hear Abe tell a story about how your company, which was, I think, I gotta remember the name of that real fast, because the second one was Soulstorm Brew, was the Soulstorm Brewery, and the first one, Rupture Farms, that's it, okay. So you're in Rupture Farms, and Rupture Farms makes all these foods They make scrab cakes. Scrab is an animal. Paramite pies. Paramites are an animal. Meech munchies. But you're out of Meech munchies because the Meeches went extinct because of your company. And you have no idea, but you hear your bosses, the Gluckins, another species, speaking about their new plan. And you see that they're going to use you, the Mudokons, that's what you guys are, as their new food. They're going to make Mudokon Pops, which is your head on a stick. So, you didn't really like that idea, and you were like, oh man, I gotta save everybody. I gotta get everybody out of here. And basically the whole game is a flashback, because at the very beginning you see Abe hung by his hands above this fiery pit of doom, and Mullick, the leader of the Gluckins, comes in and he's like, oh. So you flash back and you think about everything that happened. So basically what you got to do throughout Abe's Oddysee and Abe's Exoddus is get you have these speaking controls, right? Like, hello, follow me, stay here, work, and do all this stuff, because all the Mudokons are all slaves to the Gluckins. Yeah. So they're all slaves, and you're gonna get them out of there through bird portals. You do your special chant. You're all like, ooh, and whoop, the portal opens up, and you're like, get out of here, and they go, and then you go on your way. Now, it's sort of like a puzzle platformer where you're like, you really got to think at some parts. There's other parts where it's really intense, and you're like running as fast as you can, and you have to do it. You have to think fast, otherwise you're boned. You gotta like roll and jump. So there's a lot of athletics. It's really fun. Just like, it's hard to explain. You just have to play it. But you run and jump, and you use your chant, your yo 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 yo, to like possess the Sligs, which are another species. They're like these octopus Cthulhu people with guns, and they're essentially the guards. And if they see you, they're gonna shoot you, and you're gonna die. So you can use those to possess them and then take control of them and like go kill other Sligs and all this other crap, and like pull levers and deactivate traps and like open secret passages and save as many as you can. And if you save enough by the end of the game, then they're all going to come together at the end of the game and use their magical powers, because I guess you're some like spiritual race, and save you. Now, a lot of you might recognize the game Munch's Oddysee with Abe in it, because it was a more recent game. But in my honest opinion, Munch's Oddysee is a heaping load of poop. I played it, I don't know, but turning Abe 3D was just not a good idea. And I am overjoyed to hear that Oddworld, or actually they're now, the new company that's working on them is Just Add Water, but they're still under the Oddworld name. They're making an HD remake of Abe's Oddysee and Abe's Exoddus. They've already done Stranger's Wrath, but I don't really like... I mean, it's a good game, but it's not my style. I don't really like Stranger's Wrath, but... And it's just really fun, you know? It's just really fun. Like, even for me as a kid, that, like, I'm just learning about life. And then I'm presented here with this problem. And maybe that's why I'm so good at communicating with people now. I don't know. I'm not actually good at communicating with people, but it's just so good. I don't really know what more to say. I mean, in Abe's Exoddus, it's the same general idea, except they're using your tears and your bones to make beer, and you gotta save them, and you can possess the Scrabs, which are like these crabs on 4 legs with claws for heads, and the Paramites are like hand creatures with hands on their face and such. I mean, it's just really cool. I mean, the fact, to me as a kid, the fact that I was meeting all these alien creatures, I'm like, whoa, those are some cool poops. Those are some cool poop butts right there. And it was just something else. Like, the Paramites are actually my personal favorite, because they're all like hissy and like and such, and it's It's pretty cool, like I've said about 50 times now. Also, I mean, the soundtrack to the game is just incredibly atmospheric. Like, I didn't realize this as a kid at the time, but it's incredibly atmospheric. Like, you sometimes you'll be sitting there and you won't even notice the music, but it's there. It's just like the wind blowing with like birds chirping, and then little beats like boom, boom. I can't even simulate it. It's incredibly atmospheric, like when you're in nature, because each game is split up into different parts. Like at the beginning of both of them, you start out in the industrial area, and then you escape that area to go to the nature part, which nature, in my opinion, is the best part of the game. My brother, personally, he likes the industrial parts better, but I like the nature because I just love the atmosphere and the landscape. Again, with the scenery is just so good. Like, even for a PlayStation 1 game, even though it's 2D, like, it's so good. The people who made this game were like, hey, let's have a forest, but let's have the forest, instead of made out of, like, evergreens or something, let's have the whole thing made out of fucking palm trees, you know? We'll call this place Necrum, and it'll have random poles of rocks sticking out in the middle of the ground for no goddamn reason. Let's just put it there, and it's going to be awesome. And let's put these green worms in there that fling their tongues at you like frogs, but on the end of their tongues are freaking spears that just go and kill you in like 6 hits. Freaking genius, man. And then they're like, hey, you know those crab people? Yeah, well, let's put them in a freaking canyon area. And you know what? Since these people aren't really that much of a threat on their own, let's put some sligs in there, have them shoot at you, because, I mean, this place is industrialized anyways. Let's put some engines in there, some friggin' landmines, and something. Let's just do it. Let's just, like, it's just like the ideas came to them. Just, like, out of nowhere. Like, they were just like, you know what? It'd be cool if we had this, this, and this. Now let's put it in the game. They didn't even think about it. They just put it in there, and it was good. It was good. Oh, my God. Just so amazing. I mean, I love them both the same. I like Exoddus a little bit better, but whew, all the secrets too. Like, the secrets are incredibly hard to find. Like, it's so, I mean, you can get good and bad endings too, and you have to find some of the secrets to get the good ending. If you get the bad ending, then Abe, he dies. You know? He dies. Well, actually, in the second one, this is kind of funny, because, like, you save a few of them, right? And then, when you come back to the village, your friends are all like, Abe, you didn't save our buddies. And then they hit you upside the head with the Soulstorm brew bottle, and Abe falls over, he's like, guys, it was hard! And then he gets hit, and then he was like, and you ain't getting away with it. And then they kill you. And it's like, what? Man, I tried my best, but you know what? Too fucking bad. You're Abe. You're the hero of legends, so deal with it. Anyways, Munchie's Odysseys, poop. Just, you could check out Oddworld for, like, updates and such. I'll link them in the description if you want to read up on it. It's pretty cool. There's a lot of lore behind it, and it's just really, it's really interesting, the things that the people came up with. I don't think that as many people appreciate this game as they should. I mean, I've met a few people who are like, oh yeah, dude, I know that game. But they didn't really, you know a lot about it. So, I mean, I hope that you guys will check out this game, because this is one of my personal favorite games from my childhood. I grew up with both of these games, as well as several others that I'll get to later. But, I mean, it's just, it makes you think. It's very fast-paced and slow-paced at some parts, and it's like strategy, puzzle, platforming. Save your fucking race, man. Do the job. You know what I'm saying? So, $10 on PSN, or you can wait for it to be released on Xbox, I think, when they do the HD remakes. And, of course, it's always on PC as well. Both of them are on PC if you want to check them out there. So, yup.